Let me introduce a man who on August 29th on Showtime pay-per-view will be making his boxing debut. But he is no stranger to throwing hands. He's known as one of the hardest punchers in UFC history. He is the former UFC welterweight champion of the world. He's known as the Chosen One. Ladies and gents, Tyron Woodley. Went 19-7-1 in his career, 9-6-1.
Right, so the obvious thing that stands out to me is that the guy's wearing sunglasses indoors. To me, it looks a bit like a defense mechanism, which is a little telling. By concealing his eyes, he denies Jake the opportunity to build upon any mental narratives he may have concerning Tyron's mental state towards the fight. Which, on the other hand, is a good way to protect his game plan, because the less you give away, the murkier your opponent's perception will be. However, this is probably more than likely a response to Jake's previous comments about his state of mind during their photo shoot weeks prior.
UFC making his boxing debut on August 29th, the Chosen One. And the man he will be facing. He'll be coming back home to the Buckeye State in his hometown of Cleveland, Ohio. It'll be his fourth professional fight. He has knocked out all three of his opponents that he's faced thus far. This man, a YouTube social media star who has all of a sudden turned himself into a pugilistic puncher. He's known as the problem child. Ladies and gents, Jake Paul. And joined by the problem bot.
Now, this is very interesting. So, Tyron walked on stage closed off with his eyes concealed, whereas Jake Paul decided to do the exact opposite, which is to actually externalize an extension of himself in form of a jacked up robot / titan / persona, which dramatically heightens his presence. One could even argue it's a representation of how he feels going into the fight, as well as priming Tyron into thinking he's going to be fighting someone bigger and stronger, no doubt instilling or playing on any doubt and fear Tyron may have. From what I see, without actually seeing it physically, the fight in Jake Paul's mind has already begun. This is just an instance of him mentally attacking Tyron's confidence.
3-0. All three victories have come by knockout. Well, let me start with this, guys. And, Jake, I'll start with you because you guys, had a private photo shoot. There was no media there. But in that private photo shoot, you guys had a chance to, kind of face off, look at one another. And in that photo shoot, you said during the face-off, quote, I saw it in his eyes. I saw it deep in his soul that he knew this right hand was going to crack him in his skull. You still stand by that?
Yeah, look, I saw fear in his eyes.
So this lends itself to my initial sunglasses interpretation. Jake Paul claims he could see the fear deep in his soul, and Tyron responds by walking on stage with sunglasses. For one, this tells me that Tyron acknowledged JP's claim and chose to respond by no longer allowing JP eye contact, which then suggests to me that he was perhaps being read to some degree. Now, just to peel this back a little bit, we should realise it is perfectly natural for Tyron to feel this way. We've got to remember, the world wants Jake Paul to fall, and the pressure to make that happen is now firmly resting on Tyron's shoulders. You see, Jake Paul is at the stage in his career where he's still considered a joke within the boxing and fighting world, simply because he didn't go down the traditional fighting route and was a YouTuber before his transition. But what happens when you get defeated by a joke? Well, you become even more of a joke yourself.
I saw a man who just accepted a fight mostly for a paycheck. I saw a man who doesn't really have fight left in him. I saw a man who's been defeated multiple times now and who will be finished and sent into retirement by YouTube Disney star boxer.
Interesting, so Jake's making a direct comparison between his own interpretation of who Tyron is against the public's interpretation of Jake himself as a YouTuber slash Disney slash boxer. So he's effectively associating a truth, the general public's perception of himself, with his own perception of Tyron, which is actually just his own opinion. So yeah, subtle manipulation if I do say so myself.
Keyword, you saw a man. Something you're a problem child. That's what you saw. You haven't even been in front of enough people to know what to judge a face off from. My sparring partners will finish you.
We'll see.
See, Jake doesn't know how to respond to that. So Tyron attacks his identity as a man through his own self-proclaimed identity, problem child, and he just goes completely blank. It's literally like the first time he's ever realised that distinction. Logically, you have a man who wants his fighting ability to be taken seriously, but at the same time refers to himself as quote-unquote problem child, an early stage in life where everything is anything but serious.
You know?
But nice watch, though.
We'll see what happens, you know? I think your career is over, man.
I know. You think I know. It's two different things.
I'm going to bounce your brain off of your skull. Instant concussion, you will be on the mat. You're just not the same Tyron anymore.
I never was Tyron, number one. Number two, everything you just scripted and wrote and practiced in the mirror, you shaking while you even saying it. Like, this is a fight. This ain't fucking for play. This for real.
So yeah, play. A reference to him being a kid, you know? Playtime, play. And this is for real. And then you got Jake Paul just keeping that staunch look on his face, trying not to react or give anything away. Quite interesting.
Tyron, let me ask you this. Let me follow up on that. Because you told the boxing scene, you're going to knock Jake out in 3 rounds. You said, quote, they're gassing him up. You've got power. He's old. He ain't won a fight in a million years. You're the more hungry, younger guy. You're taking me lightly. Think you can beat me up? They're lying to this kid. I'm going to F him up. You still stand by that?
I mean, look at my resume. Look at all the up-and-coming fighters, the Darren Tills, the Kevin Gaslams, the one that gassed up and they gave false hope that they can get the job done. And watch what happened. None of them landed a punch. So him being athletic, him having a right hand, him getting everybody either wanting him to. So many people come up to me on a day-to-day basis, you got to knock him the fuck out. I'm like, damn, what this dude done did to everybody.
And there you have it, folks. The law of importance is now in play. The world's placing a heavy responsibility on this dude to win, and it's only going to work against him. To Jake, Tyron is another pebble along the way his journey. He isn't the end game. However, to Tyron, Jake represents revival. He is literally his chance to restart his career. Now you compound this with the huge expectation the world has placed on him. The importance of this win is now monumental. Jake ain't no pebble for him. He's a significant boulder. It's literally all or nothing for him.
He got people wanting to watch him. That's why we're sitting here right now.
That's the exact pressure that's going to crack you on fight night.
No, the pressure's going to be on you, brother.
You have never been in a fight like this, and you
Ever,
know
right?
that the whole MMA community
Robbie
is
Lawler,
counting
Carlos
on you.
Condit, Darren Till. I've never been in a fight like that.
Don't know who the fuck those guys are.
Exactly. They're Hall
You've
of
never been
Famers.
on a fight of this scale.
Hall of Famers.
You've never
Pick
been
up
on
your
the
phone, you're on
fight of.
YouTube.
You've never
Go
been.
slide
You've
over
never
to
been
Hall
on a
of Fame.
fight of this scale, which is why this is the biggest payday of your life. And you know that the whole MMA community is counting on you to knock me out and to beat me.
I'm counting on
When
you.
you lost lost to Kamaru
I got one
Usman,
person counting
when
on
you
me,
lost to
me.
Gilbert Burns, when you lost to all of those guys, you had built-in excuses.
When
they were
have
the
you
best.
fought anybody of that
they were the
caliber?
best. What happens when you lose to
When
Jake
have
Paul?
you fought anybody
What
of
happens
that
when you lose
caliber?
to Jake Paul? You're going to be the laughing stock
When
of the
have you
internet.
fought
just like
anybody of that
just like I
caliber?
turned Nate Robinson into a floor mat, I'm going to turn you into fucking
Nate
paste.
Robinson plays basketball. He shoot 3 points and slam dunk.
Hey, Jake.
I knock people out for a living.
It's exactly just as I said. You know, it's Jake is banking on this. Jake knows for a fact that the pressure that everyone is placing on Tyron to win this is going to be his very downfall. He actually wants that to happen. He knows people want to see him lose, which in a roundabout way actually helps him create these victories. The pressure the world creates crumbles his opponents every time he steps into that ring, and by knowing that the world wants him to lose, Jake himself becomes the underdog every single time. So the clear distinction between these two is Jake is out to prove the world wrong again, but Tyron is actually forced to prove the world right, and so far no one's managed to do it.
Is this the toughest fight when you look at the three that you fought? Tyron Woodley, toughest fight thus far?
Toughest by far, and that's exactly what I want. I want to continue to increase my opponent's, skill level. I want to challenge myself. This is a legitimate knockout artist. This is a legitimate knockout artist. He was boxing while I was on Disney Channel. He's been boxing probably 4 or 5 times as long as me. But August 29th, Cleveland, Ohio, in my hometown, you will see a boxing clinic be put on. And this man doesn't go more than 3 rounds.
Man doesn't go no further than 3 rounds. So, if we were to rank Jake's opponents in terms of rounds his opponents got knocked out, he's up the tempo by 1, because Nate Robinson, rest in peace, has been the only round 2 contender thus far. So, when you look at it that way, Jake doesn't think Tyron is much more of a threat. Though you could argue there's some pressure on Jake because the fight's taking place in his own hometown. But I would argue this adds more pressure to Tyron instead, because you're going to have to now deal with biased spectators.
Tyron, one of the things we saw on social media is that you show some pictures of you training with Floyd Mayweather. Can you tell us how those sessions went? And did he give you maybe some tricks that we will see on August 29th?
I mean, to get an opportunity to work out with Floyd Mayweather, an idiot would not take that advantage of that situation. He showed me stuff not specifically to defeat Jake, but to be a world-class boxer in general. Techniques, positions, placements, hand positioning, movements. In MMA, sometimes we waste energy. Sometimes we do a lot of shucking and jiving, and they don't have purpose. Everything I do, everything I throw is going to hurt.
No doubt, training with Mayweather is certainly a significant advantage to have. But boxing, whilst less varied than MMA in terms of options available, is actually an incredibly complex sport, and whatever Mayweather taught him in that ring isn't really going to translate well enough in the fight to make the impact having such training would actually suggest. There simply isn't enough time for him to build up a sufficient transition from an MMA mindset to a boxing one. In fact, I'd even argue his biggest struggle in this transition isn't even learning new things or the things that Mayweather's taught him. It would be actually unlearning the habits and nuances of MMA. So with Jake, who only knows boxing, his mind isn't conflicted of fighting against old patterns, but Tyron's will, and because of this can cause doubt, second guessing, and if he allows it, defeat on fight night.
My feints are going to hurt. It's going to make his body shake to the point where he don't know what the fuck's going on. So you can say, I'm out to say anything. I'm from the show me state. You got to show me. I've been in there. This ain't my first big stage. I was at the sold-out Madison Square Garden with the fight of the night, the biggest gate they've ever had in history, the best card in UFC history. I was a fight of the night.
That's not true. The biggest gate was last weekend in Vegas, but
the biggest gate of Madison Square Garden. Listen to what I say, young man.
So, how is Floyd Mayweather gonna teach you to beat me when he couldn't even finish my brother?
So what you have here is Jake downplaying the significance of Mayweather's training. So he's basically saying, if the person you're learning from couldn't do the job properly, then what difference is the training actually going to make to you? Which again, in a sense, is a false comparison. For one, Jake isn't his brother, and whilst you must respect what Logan accomplished in that ring, he also couldn't do much against a man who's nearly twice his age and half his height.
You
Just
are not
talk about
Floyd
money
Mayweather.
and just talk about clout. Because when we talk about fighting, you shouldn't even be talking in the same sentences with me.
I mean, we could talk.
I'm a Hall of Fame already. And I'm going to make history bouncing your head off the mat. Now what?
And there goes the switch. So Tyron is now finally cutting out the bullshit and saying exactly what he thinks. So in a roundabout way, he's saying don't make the mistake in thinking that the training defines anything, as he's already proven what he's needed to prove to himself a long time ago. So saying that they both shouldn't even be speaking on the same sentences when it comes to fighting insinuates completely that Jake is actually the man who's got something to prove and not him. So yeah, no, that's a very interesting switch in dynamics there, and let's see how Jake reacts to that.
Well, we can talk about fighting. I mean, if you want to dive into it. I mean,
What can-
look at your
what can-
coaches. Who is your coach? Is
what
it
can we
Pedro
refer
Diaz?
to?
Is it Eric Brown? Is it Floyd Mayweather? You're bouncing around coaches like you do baby mamas. How many kids you got now? You're a
Gang
39-year-old
of 'em.
man who's
And
pull-up
guess
game
what?
is weak.
You know
Get
what's
your
funny?
shit together, bro.
You know what's funny? You got on
Get
all
your
this
shit together,
you
bro.
look like a rap video. Tell me somebody in your neighborhood that dressed like that.
I'm going fishing.
Tell me
after
somebody
this.
in your neighborhood that dressed like that.
I'm going fishing.
Tyron?
After this.
I am coaching.
How about this?
You want to be
People
a rapper.
rap about what I
you,
live.
You want to
My coaches
want to
are
be a
cohesive.
rapper. You
But
have
my coaches
multiple
are
songs
cohesive.
on Spotify that fucking suck with 2 streams,
Brother,
buddy. You're
are you
39 years old
serious?
trying to become a rapper.
Are you serious?
You're trying to become a rapper.
Have you saw
Here's the thing.
yourself?
So this, my friends, is what I call a communication breakdown. So Jake takes shots at Tyron by calling him out on his history of indecision, by suggesting he has multiple coaches and baby mamas and not having his quote-unquote shit together at 39 completely undermines whatever past accomplishments he believes he has, and basically insinuates that the guy just does not know what the fuck he is doing. By specifically mentioning his age, he's also essentially saying he ain't where he should be and is lagging behind.
How about this?
Pull your hair
All
back
of the
and let's
money,
see your
all
lining.
of the money,
Pull the front of your
all
hair
of the
back,
money
let's
that
see
you're
your
getting
eagle
from
beat.
this fight is going to your baby mamas.
Pull your hair back.
You bought a used Bentley.
You know
I
what's
seen
funny?
it on your Instagram.
You
You
know
bought a
what's funny?
used Bentley
My
with your money.
biggest flex is my
You
kid.
bought
I
a
know.
used Bentley
That's
with this
my
money.
Hold on.
biggest flex.
I think but these guys want to
So
hear
you
about.
actually thank you guys.
They wanna hear about the fight.
Instagram covering up the steering wheel so you can't see how many miles is on it. He's like,
Bruh.
just got this Ocean Auto Club
What
used
are we talking?
used
what are we
luxury
talking
car
about here?
dealership.
We're talking about fighting.
Yeah, let's talk
Used.
about fighting.
I'm talking
So
about
guess
how
what?
you're a used
Let's talk about
bitch.
used Bentley, used bitch, and guess what? You're gonna pay for those words, brother.
So let me.
So yeah, what Tyron said earlier about you shouldn't be speaking on the same sentences as me when it comes to fighting. You should only be speaking about money and clout. Well, that's what Jake just defaulted to there. He was talking about fighting, and then he completely related it to money and clout. So Tyron was right.
Ask you this, Tyron.
By
Let
the
me.
way, I'm not gonna pay.
Plugs,
I'm paying
plugs,
you.
Hey, plugs,
I'm paying you.
plugs get pulled for that word. You're gonna find out.
So let.
Okay,
You're gonna
rapper.
find out.
How about this?
Okay,
You're gonna
rapper.
find out.
Tyron.
I'm culture. I can talk about culture.
A lot of
'Cause I'm
peop-
what they rap about.
A lot of people have written because they go back to your UFC record and they say, well, he's lost his last 4. He even lost his last fight, obviously in the octagon. Does he still have enough left in the tank? Can you answer that?
Jake, meet me in sparring tonight. Let's get a warm up in. I guarantee you, when you leave the gym, you will never fucking walk in that ring with me ever. If you really want to see, if we're a fighter, if it's all about money or if it's all about clout, meet me at the gym today.
Jake,
Meet me at the gym.
Jake,
You are stupid as fuck.
Holla at your boy
let me ask you this.
and watch what happens.
If you win,
So Tyron is now acting emotionally, and likely because of the comments about the used BMW. He tried humbling himself by saying his kids are his flex, which is of course a respectable thing to say, and I have no doubt of its validity. However, within the context of the situation and the person he's actually beefing against, it just seems a little off.
in this fight,
When?
and obviously you've knocked out everybody you face. If you stop him, what should they be saying about Jake Paul as a fighter?
I think they're already saying it, man. I think the secret's out of the bag. Look, I'm sparring some of the best fighters in the world: Andrew Tabiti, Jean Pascal, Jay Leon Love, Rob Safar, Ahmed Ilibali. Like the list goes
You
on.
sparring thoughts.
And when I knock out Tyron, I think people will be like, wow, this kid is he's the real deal. Like Amanda Serrano out here. We were just training last night. She has one of the highest knockout rates for female boxers ever, about to beat the record. And we just like have that same mentality. I'm a real killer. I'm gonna take Tyron into deep waters and drown him. And this is my make or break fight. People are wanting to see me lose. You know, the MMA community wants to see Jake Paul fall. They're counting on Tyron, but he's just not gonna get the job done.
So
If Jake Paul does win, which in my opinion I believe will be the case, we'll still not give him the respect he expects. Why? Because he's yet to fight a boxer. He's gone from fighting a Pokemon to a basketball player to a Teletubby and now to an MMA fighter who's lost his last 4 fights. But he already knows this. He's been incredibly smart in knowing where the fine line is between getting the much needed fight experience and at a pace where the skill levels are increased just enough to provide a safe enough challenge without jumping in too quickly into the deep end and being made to look exposed, as well as maintaining public interest. He's slowly and meticulously building up by being incredibly selective with his opponents, and this is why I believe he will win. Tyron was picked not only because he represents a level above his previous opponents in terms of skill level, but also because Jake and his team are 100% confident in the fact that he poses no real risk.
I know there are members of the media want to ask him questions. We'll end it with this. We'll start with you, Tyron. What can you guarantee people when they pay their money for Showtime pay-per-view on August 29th to see you fight Jake Paul? What can you guarantee you that they're going to get on August 29th?
Violence.
Jake, same question.
I mean, people know what they get when you're tuning into a Jake Paul event. That's
All
why.
3 times.
That's why.
4
That's why
times.
I'm the most impactful 3-0 boxer in history. No fighter has ever accomplished what I've accomplished in 3 fights. And people can say I didn't earn it. People will say I don't deserve it, but I'm earning more than any fighter has ever earned 3 fights in. And people know what they get when they tune into a Jake Paul show. I'm knocking this guy out. That's what people want to see. And we're putting on a show.
How you gonna do it? And I don't think that. I don't think he don't deserve it. I think what he's doing is trying to, I'm a Disney, I'm a vlogger, and I'm fighting this seasoned veteran UFC champion. It's all just in case. It's a backup excuse for when I wax you in that ring. That's what it is.
And he has a good point. It most certainly could be used that way, but in my opinion, they're building him up because he needs to be perceived as a challenge by the public. If he slapped another Ben 10 in there or a rematch with Krabby Patty Gibbs, the public aren't going to care. Jake's team need to build this dude up so he represents a threat, because only then will people tune in hopes to see Jake Paul get whipped. No doubt it's the toughest challenge for Jake Paul so far in his career, but I'm just not convinced Tyron is going to be the man to end it.
Will look like a fight. It's not going. I'm not just gonna walk out there and swing 2 punches and everybody think I'm knocking him out in 2 minutes. This is a real fucking fight. I'm training like I'm fighting Mike Tyson. I want y'all to really know that. So don't fall for the BS. Oh, I'm Disney. Oh, this is the. No, this is a fight. You want to fight me? You sign the line. It's war.
And with that said, it seems like he's doing a good enough job standing the fight for Jake himself.
We got members of the media. I know you guys have questions. We're going to pass the mic to you. Just make sure that you introduce yourself. Let us know who you're representing.
Hi, I'm Victoria Venin for Ring TV, and I just want to know if you do win this fight, what do you plan to gain from it, and who would you like to fight next?
When I win this fight, I plan to gain a lot of money. And look, the price and the stock just keeps on going up. Showtime pay-per-views. And I think there's a long list of people, you know, but it's just figuring out who's active and who makes the most sense. And me and my team will make that decision when the time is right.
Okay, and that's awesome. And what advantages do you think your opponent has over you?
None.
I love it. Thank you.
So yeah, he basically said it here. He knows he doesn't represent a threat, and he's not just saying it. His team know. They know this.
Tyron, could you answer that too? You're victorious? Another fight? Boxing?
Of course, I didn't get into this for a quick payday to get in and get out. This is a stepping stone for me. This is my entry into boxing for sure.
I think entering boxing at the age of 39, you're just not going to go anywhere fast. In fact, you're probably just not going to go anywhere. I probably would argue that this is the last biggest fight that Tyron Woodley will ever have in his career. So, but more power to him. Good luck. But boxing 39, it just isn't going to happen.
Jake.
Lance?
Yeah, hey, Jake. I wanted to ask you, I mean, when Tyron is talking like this, is that what you actually wanted? I mean, you wanted an opponent like this who's going to test you, who is a bigger puncher than the previous guys you fought, correct?
Yeah, I love it. I haven't been hit in 3 fights. It's a fact.
Your ass gonna get hit in this fight.
I haven't been hit in the face. So, as a professional boxer, that's sort of unheard of. And I just want to add some experience to my belt. Look, I want to go after Canelo in 3 years. I want to be a world champion. And so, if I'm just fighting guys who can't hit me, you know, how am I going to get better in the ring under those lights and get that experience? So Tyron's the perfect person to maybe get me to the 3rd round for the first time ever.
Hey, can you take this cup from me? Okay. Because you standing there looking real silly for no reason.
And he's finally acknowledged a big old robot behind him. And essentially just said that you serve no purpose. So whatever you think you're doing, you're not doing. But is that really the case? Who knows? We'll find out.
Yes.
Giandra LaBeouf, Boxing Insider. Tyron, he mentioned that he didn't know any of your previous fights. If you had to pick 2 or 3 of your fights to introduce Jake to what type of fighter you are, which of your 3 past fights would you tell him he needs to watch to really know who you are?
I mean, Jake's a fan, so he knows all of my fights. He's played me on a UFC video game, and you know, he's just saying
I don't
that
even
because
own an Xbox.
he says that because it sounds cool to basically try to discredit the person to the side. But at the end of the day, he's talking about a career. Okay, I have a career, and I had a career before it was even legal. Yeah, I was a what?
Keyword had.
Okay. Back to intellectual conversation.
For sure, bro.
He literally recognizes what I'm possible. He just said I'm a seasoned striker. How would you know that I'm a seasoned striker without watching me? He just took somebody's word for it? No, he watched me. And he's gonna watch me punch him right in the face. And he gonna look in his corner, he gonna look at his coaches and be like, you lied to me. You told me I can beat him. You told me he was old. You told me he was washed up.
That is actually not what they tell me. They say this is the biggest challenge. And every single day they say this is a serious fighter.
They should have told you it was suicide if they
There's
was
a lot on the
honest with
line
you.
here. This is a high-risk fight. But they tell me, Jake, you will beat him and you will KO him. They're not sitting here fluffing my feathers, okay? Like, I have the best team, one of the best boxing teams I have ever seen in the world. It's Patriots, Bill Belichick, Bulls, 96, 97, team problem child. They're not here gassing me up. People think I have yes men. People think I have weird people around me telling me shit. That's not the case, buddy.
That's what I don't think.
We are taking you very seriously. We are taking you very seriously, but anything that you bring to the ring, it just won't matter. 3 rounds.
And as suspected, what he just said completely aligns with what I said earlier. His team are serious only in the sense that they understand how to pick the right opponent. They absolutely see no threat in Tyron whatsoever.
Hi, Jake. Adriana Jimenez with Fino Boxing. A few weeks ago, you mentioned that you wanted to make a bet with him to double up the purse. Is that something that you're still bringing up, that you're interested in?
Yeah, look, I mean, he didn't want to take that bet.
I did, but I didn't want to let you fucking get the upper hand. At the time you said, I'm like, damn, that sounds appetizing, but I didn't want to let you just get that moment.
Okay, so how about this? Let's make a new bet right now.
I just bet I'm gonna beat your ass.
If I beat you, you have to get I Love Jake Paul tattooed on you. But if you beat me, I get I Love Tyron Woodley tattooed on me, and you have to post it on your Instagram feed. Deal or no deal? Are you confident or not?
What y'all think?
Bro.
Y'all think I should do it?
Bro, this guy has no fucking confidence.
Bet.
Deal or no deal?
Deal.
Can we shake on it? There we go.
Wow, big mistake, buddy. I've got a sweeping suspicion Jake Paul didn't expect him to take that bet at all. But the manner in which it was accepted revealed enough anyway. He called him out for checking out on the first bet. And then he upped the ante by calling him out on the lack of confidence. Then he upped it again by introducing the gentleman's agreement, forcing him to keep his word. However, what was most telling was the fact that Tyron couldn't make the decision for himself. He literally outsourced the decision to tattoo someone else's name on his own body to a group of strangers sitting in front of him. And accepting this bet doesn't serve him whatsoever. But as you can see from that, he crumbled under pressure, and in the event he does lose, it will only just serve as a kick in the teeth after defeat. This reveals to me not that he doesn't have confidence, but that he does have some degree of self-doubt swirling inside him somewhere, and that exactly was what Jake Paul wanted to see. So I'd like to say thank you if you managed to get this far into my first casual analysis as well as first YouTube video. If you enjoyed my content and would like to see more of it, you know what to do. So who do you think is going to win and why? Let me know in the comments below.